Brad MacGuffin reviews. Oh, do I have a great movie for you to watch? Great, I keep saying great. Is there any other words? I need to start looking up adjectives. Uh, Outstanding, a magical. A Anyway, doing my best here. I have to get a thesaurus. I need to buy a thesaurus. Seconds from 1966. This is sci-fi and a thriller. And this is the MacGuffin spoiler review. So spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. Now, directed by John Frankenheimer, who is a, don't say great again, Fred. He's a legendary director. He has directed Birdman of Alcatraz, The Manchurian Candidate, 7 Days in May, The Train, French Connection 2, Black Sunday, Prophecy, 52 Pickup, The Island of Dr. Moreau. Yeah, he took that away from another director, or he took over from another director, Ronin, Reindeer Games. So he's done a lot of great work. This is an early movie. I said great again. He's done a lot of work, and this is one of his early movies. It stars Rock Hudson as Antonicus Wilson, and it also has John Randolph, who plays Arthur Hamilton. Now, this starts off with John Randolph. He's a very successful, very wealthy banker. He's hoping to become president of the bank. But his life seems to have hit a stale point. His wife would describe him as dead inside. He is just floating along. He seems to be a ghost in his own life, in his own. He he's just float. Yeah, I think he's lost. He's lost his way, and out of the blue, a friend rings called Charles. Now, Charles, to Arthur's knowledge, is dead, but this guy seems to know a lot about their friendship, and he pretty much confirms that he is Charlie, his old friend. And Charlie has put Arthur forward with the company to, he's like a sponsor. He's put his name forward as someone that might need the company's help. And Arthur is bemused, but he decides to follow this. He gets information from Charles about where to go to meet the company, and he decides to do that. Their cover is a meat factory, and he goes from the meat factory in the back of a truck to their offices, and there he meets the executives of the company, who tell him that they're going to, for a price, change his life, give him a second chance, and maybe change the mistakes Arthur has made in his current life. Now, Arthur Hamilton is played by John Randolph, and this actor is a legend. He's a TV legend, and he's got some great movies under his belt as well. He's been he's been around since the 40s. He's gone through 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, into the noughties on TV. Once you see him, you will know him. He's also been in Prizzi's Honor. TV shows he's done, to name but a few: Dallas, Kojak, MASH. Movies: Heaven Can Wait, King Kong, the remake, 1970s remake, Serpico, Escape from Planet of the Apes, Conquest of Planet of the Apes. So a huge filmography, and he's great in this. I have to find another word instead of great. Yeah, leave comments down below. Do you know any of your adjectives? Because that's the only one I know. The head of the company is played by Will Greer, and his title in the movie is Old Man. And he was also in Jeremiah Johnson, In Cold Blood, Winchester 73, and The Waltons. And he talks Arthur round to doing this life change experience. And it involves plastic surgery and a whole new career, a whole new life. And yeah, that speech that he gives to Arthur is, yeah, it's really well done. And you can see why Arthur should, yeah, go for this. And he does. And Arthur wakes up with a new face. And he wakes up with the face of Rock Hudson, who you may have seen in Tobruk, Giant, Pillow Talk, Winchester 73, and Bend of the River. After rehabilitation, he is taken to his new house. He's got a butler there, and the butler is with the company, and he starts learning his new trade, which is he's a painter. He's an artist, and this job, this job, this career that they have for him was not just chosen at random. They have questioned Arthur about his other ambitions he has, and this is what they come up with. So yeah, Arthur has a new life. He meets a lady on the beach that he takes a liking to, and she's played by Jens. He plays Nora Marcus. She's also in Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, Green Lantern, and a lot of TV work. And oh yeah, one thing about this movie, it looks great. I know it's in black and white. Don't let that put you off. But James Wong Ho is the director of photography, and He's 143 credits, and he's also shot The Thin Man, Hood, Ombre, The Outrage, The Old Man of the Sea, The Rose Tattoo, The Prisoner of Zenda, and Shanghai Express. And yeah, he seems to, there's techniques he uses here. It's like handheld, giving you the point of view of the person walking, or yeah, I'd say at the time it was pretty groundbreaking. And he sort of uses fisheye lenses, and perspectives are very unusual. And it really gives that sense that the world is not the way it should be. There's one thing about this movie, it reminds me a lot about David Fincher's The Game, which has that big company that seems bigger than you could possibly imagine, has people everywhere, and that Michael Douglas's character has gone down a rabbit hole, and he's in a different world that he doesn't control anymore. And that's the way this feels for Arthur Hamilton, who is now Antonicus Wilson in his new life. And yeah, this, I suppose for me, this feels like you could look at it as a very sort of Kafka-esque, the trial type of movie, where everything is outside your control, and Antonicus doesn't seem to enjoy his new life. He seems to feel that he hasn't chosen this. He's been chosen by the company. He seems to fight against what he has now, his second chance, is not what he wants. And eventually he goes back to see his wife in his old house, and he pines for his old life. And or maybe, but once he gets there, he talks to his wife, and it's a very touching conversation, and it makes Arthur realize that, or Antonicus realize that, yeah, she seems happier with him not there, that he was dead inside for years, and it might be the best thing that she thinks Arthur has been killed in a hotel fire, but he hasn't. Well, he hasn't. And that's the story the company gave, and that was Arthur's way out, to look like he was dead. And with with Antonicus fighting against his new life, and wanting to have another go, choosing what he wants this time, when the life that the company has made for him seems perfectly fine, but he only gets one second chance. He doesn't get a third one. The third chance will be them using his body to killing him, and using his body to cover for someone else's death. So yeah, it's things I got from this movie was, yeah, maybe there is. It feels like the company is, like, you could say they were maybe a benevolent uh, helper, or that the old man of the company is God, and they're giving this soul a second chance. I'm getting very religious here, but it could be any religion. It could be someone has been given a second chance and hasn't taken it, has fought against it, doesn't see what they have, and decides to burn the world around them and destroy everything that's been given to them. So yeah, it's a very there's a lot of ways to look at this film. You could I prefer not to go the Kafka-esque route, and some people might feel there's a very sad ending, a very brutal ending, but lessons can be learned from this, and that's a nice thing. This movie makes you think. This movie stayed with me long after I watched it, and some would consider this. I suppose you can consider this a cult movie. So probably polar opposites here, with people loving it or hating it. But I really enjoyed it, and it's from a novel written by David Eli, which I'd like to check out and see, is it a similar story, and maybe find out more information about this movie. But it's one you should try to find and watch. It is it's a hidden gem. It should be on more greatest movies uh, ever lists, and yeah, I think it was ahead of its time. It was made in 1966, or released in 1966, and yeah, there's a lot of layers to this. There's a lot of ways to look at it. You could look at it as a positive movie or a negative one, and that's what's great about it. Rock Hudson delivers a performance that I hope was lauded and honoured and appreciated at the time. And yeah, I like a good dystopian sort of feeling movie, or as I said, so The Game is one to check out, from David Fincher with Michael Douglas, where your sort of controlled world is now gone, and a chaotic world has been given to you, and you have to try and learn to deal with that. I give this a 4 out of 5, maybe 4.5. probably stretch to 4.5 out of 5. This is nearly a 5-star movie for me, and it's a movie you could watch again and again and get something new from every time. And that's saying a lot. That's what you want from a movie. Brad MacGuffin's review.